Alrighty, hey guys, welcome to your video notes on surface area of pyramids and cones. So just a reminder, both pyramids and cones only have one base and they have one vertex opposite the base. Okay, so on this first pyramid, we have a square base. So here is my base. And then opposite that base, we don't have another square because it's not a prism. Instead, we have a point. On our cone here, we have a circle base. And instead of another circle up here, we instead have a point, or the vertex that we like to call it. Okay, so for these, you can see on your formula sheet right here, the formula for surface area. We are going to use B plus 1/2 PL. So capital B, just like last time, stands for the area of the base. Capital P stands for the perimeter of the base. The new thing is that in our pyramids, we have something called the slant height. And that's where we get our L in that formula. L is the slant height. Don't ask me why they decided to call it L. Actually, it's because it's the lateral height, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But that is the slant height. So when you look at your picture, there are two heights that you can draw on a pyramid or a cone. One is the height that is perpendicular to the center of the base. Okay, this we just refer to as the normal height of the pyramid or cone, and that height we call h. Just like you would think of the total distance from top to bottom, going again straight up and down. Okay, but that slant height is going from the vertex to a edge. Right, and so we can see that it's going to hit right there on the edge of our cone or our pyramid. Now what's interesting about the height and the slant height is that no matter what shape we're looking at, the slant and the slant height form a right triangle inside of that pyramid or cone. So that means we might be able to use Pythagorean theorem here. Okay, the formula for surface area of a cone is just like the formula for surface area of a pyramid, except instead of a P for perimeter, we put a C for circumference. We still have the slant height L in there as well. Okay, and you can see it explained in words on there too. So let's go down and do some examples. Number one, we have a square base for our pyramid. So one side is 20. Let's go ahead and say this side is also 20 because it is a square. So using our formula for surface area, I always start by writing it, is capital B plus 1/2 capital P times L. So the three pieces of information we need to know are the area of the base, we need to know the perimeter of the base, and we need to know the slant height. Okay, so I'm going to do these off to the side instead of doing them right under there. You can organize it either way. But down here, I'm going to write what is the area of the base. So again, I like to shade my base so I can see clearly. My base is a square down here, so the area would be 20 times 20, or 400. The perimeter of my base is going to be 20 times 4 sides, so 20 times 4 gives me 80. So I have capital B and capital P, but I need to find L. So let's draw L in our picture. L is the slant height, so it's going from the vertex to the middle of an edge. It'll hit the center of the edge so that it hits right at 90 degrees. I'm not using this like corner edge, you can call it. Like I'm not using this or this guy. I want to draw it so it hits the center of one of the edges, and that way it forms a right angle with this edge right here. It doesn't form a right angle necessarily with the whole face, but with that edge, it makes a right angle there. Okay, and when I do that, I can also draw in this distance from the slant height to the normal height. Now that distance from the slant height to the normal height, since the height hits the center, is always going to be half of my side. So since the whole side was 10, I know, or 20, I know that this side is 10. I know my height is 24. So now I have a right triangle. So I can say 10 squared plus 24 squared equals the slant height, L squared. And if I solve for my slant height there, I get 26. So, and it should be a little bit longer than the normal height. All right, so let's plug these in our formula. I have the surface area equals area of the base was 400 plus 1/2. The perimeter is 80 and the slant height is 26. So go ahead and multiply all those together, and that gives us 1,440 centimeters squared is my final surface area. Again, surface area, that means units squared. Okay, and I apologize in advance. My pen's doing crazy things. Okay, let's look at the next one. Number 2 is a cone. So for a cone, formula looks very similar. Is equals the base, or area of the base, plus 1/2 times circumference times L. So again, I need to find the area and circumference of my base. My base is a circle. It has a diameter of 18. So I'm going to write here, that means the radius is 9. So the area of that base is pi times 9 squared. The circumference is 2 times pi times 9. Now we could leave this all in terms of pi, but let's go ahead and give me some decimals here. So 81 times pi give me a base of 254.5 if I rounded the tens. 2 times pi times 9 gives me a circumference of 56.5. All right, so we have our base and our circumference, the area of the base and the circumference. We need our slant height, and guess what? Our slant height is given to us here. This is from the vertex to an edge, and so we know that L is our slant height. We do not need to solve for the height here. If we were doing volume, we would need to solve for that height, but for surface area, we don't need it. So we can go ahead and plug everything in. The area of my base is 25 or 254.5 plus 1/2 circumference 56.5 and slant height of 8. This is a final surface area of 300.75 centimeters squared. All right, so for our last one together, we have a triangular prism. It's an equilateral triangle, and so just so you know, you can do this like we did yesterday and write or draw each base separately and then add up the faces. But let's use the formula just one more time to kind of get it in our heads. So surface area equals area of the base is 1/2 perimeter times slant height. Okay, it looks like our slant height is given to us, so I'm going to go ahead and write that one off to the side. I know that L equals 12. So we need the area of the base and the perimeter of the base. This one's a little bit harder to see, so let's just go ahead and redraw a triangle that's equilateral and has sides of 10. Okay, the perimeter for that is easy. The perimeter equals 30. But the area is a little harder. We need to know the height. And the height of this triangle isn't drawn in. So we need to draw in a perpendicular height to the base. And we need to find that. To find that perpendicular height, sorry, crazy pen. I need to use the fact that this is an equilateral triangle, so the angles would be 60 degrees, meaning I just cut this into two 30, 60, 90 triangles. So the hypotenuse is 10. Across from the 30 would be 5 and 5. So to get this height right here, this I can either write it as 5 root 3 using my special right triangle rules, or I can use trig and say something like the sine of 60 equals x over 10. 10 times the sine of 60 gives me 8.66, which is the same as plugging in 5.3. Okay, so either one of those you can use. We're going to go ahead and use the decimal. So to get our area of the triangle, again, the area of the base, so I'm going to go ahead and write the capital P here. I'm going to take 1/2 times the base of this triangle, which is 10, times the height of that triangle, which is 8.66. And that gives me a capital B of 43.3. So let's go ahead and plug everything in here. Surface area is 43.3 plus 1/2. My perimeter is 30. My slant height is 12. So our final surface area is going to be 223.3 meters squared. Okay. All right, so you have two that I want you to try. I recommend using the formula, but if you would rather redraw the bases, you can. just so you know, you will, you're actually given the slant height on both of these, so you should be good. All right, try these, pause the video, try them, and then we'll check. All right, here you go for 4 and 5. Check your answers. I wrote down the area of the base on each, the circumference or perimeter, and then the lateral height was given to you, or the slant height on each of these to the edge. And so once you've gotten those or written down any questions, go ahead and complete number 6, 7, and 8. And again, check your answers on Drive. Okay, you can assume that each of these have a regular base. So regular triangle base and a square base on number 8. All right, that's it. See you guys next time.